Coming from a former psychology world of work, as a psychologist and having to meet code of ethics and standard practice of how you look after your clients, and a lot of red tape around that, I understand how important it is to brand yourself in a way where you get to stand out, but you also get to show up professionally while also taking charge of the customer journey and really shaking things up and doing things differently. And shaking things up doesn't mean that you have to be loud and, ridiculously out there in a way that where you're expressing yourself in a way that feels like it could put off your customers. It needs to be in a way where you actually dial up 100% fold how much we understand you and relate to you and how much we can trust you. And trust is such a big factor these days, but even more so for those that are working in conservative industries that have got a lot of red tape, a lot of, people watching and making sure that things are being done correctly. And I work with a number of these kind of industries and the people that are navigating them and trying to stand out in them. And one of those examples is the IT industry mixed with superannuation. Now, superannuation has had, pretty rough couple of, probably more than a couple of years, but some big things that, went on where, people were, organisations weren't doing what they were meant to do and, things were not being done correctly and thereby breaching people's trust and all that kind of stuff. And so it's a tough industry as it is, and there's lots of compliance in there. And then pair it with IT. Now, I can say this because I'm married to an IT man, an IT dude, and he's been in this industry all his life. And I am aware of the challenges and the nuances of that industry. And you're also trying to deal with, separate to just the superannuation, but the IT alone industry, in trust being a major issue in that as well, because, it's kind of like, if we want to take our car to the mechanic, there's often things happening to the car that we don't really understand, and it's easy for us to be taken advantage of, especially us women. And with IT, it is very similar. There's a lot of challenges with, people in the industry who inflate, bloat, kind of things that they do or are attempting to do, and people not feeling fully, supported in those industries. So I found this a really cool challenge because one of my previous clients, in a different job that he was in with his own business, came to me with this new project, and it was him with 5 other founders developing this new business, and they're already well established, and they're already taking charge of the work that they're doing, but they wanted to really dial up their positioning. So I wanted to share it with you today. I've been waiting to share this for ages, and I make a point of not sharing people's branding that they've done with me until they've actually had a chance to launch it themselves. So sometimes I have to sit on my hands and not do anything, not say anything, not do anything until they've actually made it public. And this was made public, and so it's, I thought I would share it and show you an epic group of humans that I just loved working with these guys. 6 guys who, truth be told, probably were looking at me a little bit like, what is this chick going on about? Like, seriously, weird brilliance. Why do I need to talk about weird brilliance? Why can't I just talk about my work? But that's pretty much what it comes down to. They're not alone in this thinking at all. I don't think they were thinking that, but I wonder sometimes when people look at me and wonder what is going on in that brain of yours, Louise. Well, they went through an entire process with me. Some companies would assume that they just, book in, work with me, and we then just take photos. But before we even take photos, we're sitting down and doing an Ignite process together where I am working through the brand identity of the individuals plus the actual organization. And so we did that. And so we actually came down to a particular word for each of the founders, which has now carried over into the values for the business. And it just looks spectacular, I have to say. I'm so proud of these guys. It takes guts to do things that aren't the norm, aren't the usual. It takes guts to be on the outer edges and try something, that's trailblazer worthy. And that's what these guys are doing. They are such remarkable humans, and they have hearts of gold and real integrity, and we needed to really articulate that, particularly because, there's the IT aspect plus the superannuation aspect, plus there's an AI aspect in all of this too. So you can see where I'm going here in terms of trust being, this triple whammy that really needs to be prioritized in the brand positioning. So let me show you. Shall I? And, this is a typical project for me when I'm working with teams, and team dynamics is a real joy of mine because I get to help people see what each person brings to the business and their values and how that then can impact the way that they market themselves, the content that they can be building for the team and for the organization coming from the personal brands of each member of the team. And so remembering that there's a lot of research that shows, I think there was one statistic that I found that showed that, for in comparison to, when a business actually just markets themselves as a business, and then if an actual staff member within the organisation pitches and positions and markets and shares content about the business in their own personal profile, the difference is for the personal one of how they share their content, they get a 561% uptake or something like that, like crazy figures. But it makes total sense because personal brand is king, and even though these guys are part of a whole collective of a business, and there are multiple many people underneath them in terms of working within the business and doing the things, featuring each of the 6 personal brands within the actual brand itself is just magic, and it isn't done often. And when it's done well, it can really help a business to stand out and get traction. So let me show you, shall I? So here we go. So this is Superware AI. And this is their website. And this is one of the photos that we did. Now, this is individual photos of each of the actual members, and I've put them together into an actual single graphic for them so that they can use that in all of their collaterals. And down here further are all of their brand values. So there's curiosity, there's mastery, there's immersion, value, perspective, and excellence. And it just sings. I'm just so excited for them. There's another one of them in their branded polo shirts. And then let me show you about the actual team page. Look at this. Look at this, the team behind the dream. I would challenge you to show me any other IT businesses that can capture the energy of a team and what they are trying to do for their customers as good as what this is. Like, this is just next level. I love it. And the goal here wasn't just to do any kind of visuals. We literally worked through this over a series of several sessions where I drilled down with each individual person, what was their actual brand value and the word, and then thinking through, okay, what are some of the visuals we could do to match the word? So obviously with this gentleman, excellence was his word, and I could totally see how that would match with the business. And so he really focuses in on, how do we show excellence with our customers and pinpointing and identifying key aspects for them. This gentleman had, I think it was perspective. So seeing, beyond the clouds, the reflection of things, the perspective. And you will also see here that we've also got like the DNA strands following through each image. And so it matches what we've got on this other page, and it becomes part of their brand collateral. How cool is that? This guy has curiosity as his brand. Now, his personal brand that we had done a couple of years ago also included, the science beakers, because it's part of his history of the kind of work that he does. And so I love the fact that his own personal brand comes through in this brand. Mastery was this gentleman's word. I'm trying to think what his word was. Immersion. So really getting deep into the thick of, what's the problem and how do we solve it? And then value. How do we rank and find, the balance of value for our clients? And so these guys can use these photos individually. They can use them in combos of 3s or 2s or all 6 of them. They can use them on their proposal documents, in their marketing, in their social media, for their, they can have it here as part of, their about page. They can use this for, the images that they put with videos. So much they could do with these. I could see these on pull-up banners at some point. And we're talking at the moment about, how to develop for them a series of collateral that can become their portfolio of collateral that they can draw on at any moment. This looks really next level, and I reckon their customers will get excited by this stuff because, you've got to have the work that backs it, right? You can't just kind of, you can't just be all creative and out there but not have the work that backs it. Otherwise it's soulless and it's pointless and it's actually deceitful. Whereas these guys, they do the work, they deliver, and now they've got the photos that match it as well. Just chef's kiss. Just amazing. I love seeing this kind of real world rollout of weird brilliance, and I'm so glad that I could get to share this with you. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts of what this brought up for you in terms of the idea of trust building and brand values and brand visuals.